Okay. All right. So we're gonna be working on. Well, hold on. Let me just make sure this YouTube stream is started, and then I'll get going. Okay. I think it's all good. Let me just double check YouTube. That's where I imagine most people are gonna actually watch me. Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm still new to the streaming thing, so bear with me. But we're gonna go ahead and be building Junkwars. It's a prop hunt deathmatch sort of game. So let me pull it up. This is what it looks like right now. You can actually check out the current deployed version on junkwars.net. Here we go. God, I'm already getting pwned. All right, one sec. Hey. How you doing, Jay? How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining the stream. Hold on, let me get the chat up here. Hey, Paisa, how are you doing? All right, cool. So, yes, this is the current version of the game. I fixed the aiming last night, so it should be a lot better. You can... Let me transform into something else. Okay, here we go. So you can actually right-click and like focus aim, and there's a target, and it actually follows wherever you are. Well, actually, I need to get some ammo. Hold on. Is that guy shooting at me? The big thing we're doing today is we're gonna add multiplayer. So it's a pretty ambitious task. I really don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull it off in a day, but we'll give it a try. Let's see, where's that guy? That's the thing about this game. You never know if they're right around the corner. But yeah, I think adding multiplayer is going to be... There's somebody there. There we go. Boom. Got him. Going to be trying to add multiplayer, and hopefully at the end of the day, we can actually get like a deathmatch going in here with real players instead of just me playing with these AI bots that we currently have. So, but I got a bunch of other features in mind as well. And by the way, as I'm building this out, I'll continue deploying new versions to junkwars.net. So definitely feel free to take a look and then give me some feedback. Like Jay yesterday, really appreciate you trying it out and then like just asking, how do you move the camera? It really made me realize that like it wasn't very intuitive. And so now when you just click in, you know, you'll be able to immediately be able to move around, and then the aiming is fixed as well. So feedback definitely helps. Oh, I also changed the skybox, so we got this crazy looking tower up here now, and it's continuous, so there's no big dark seam anymore. There's, I don't know, Mordor over there or something. Okay, let's actually do some coding. Let me flip back into cursor and open up. Wait, actually, is this the right branch? I'm gonna be probably mostly working in a single branch today because we're gonna be doing the multiplayer thing. Yeah, I think this is the wrong, this is Junkwars B. Let me see. Okay. Let me commit all of this code here. Wait, actually, whoops. Let me stage that. And then let me get, I need a, yeah, I think I'll just work primarily in B because that's where I got the chat open up on this screen. I wonder if I can move this over to a different. That's fine. Okay, I'm gonna check out git merge dev A. All right, there we go. Cool, so we got all the changes. I've been using 2 branches so I can use AI in parallel to build multiple features at the same time. Okay, let me go to the to-do list. Multiplayer, that's the big thing. So for multiplayer, I'm thinking before I do anything, I'm going to come up with just a really solid plan. And this is where I think Claude 3.7 Sonnet does actually work to some degree. I'm actually going to just open up Claude in the web because I just find it does a better job at answering these kinds of questions. So using Claude Sonnet, although I guess it doesn't have the context of our game. Yeah, I'll use 3.7 Sonnet in the context of the game in cursor. All right. Go over to game. We'll go with the thinking, just since we're planning this out. All right. Get the voice text going. We are planning to make this game a multiplayer game, so can you please explore the code base and figure out what major changes we would need to make? Don't actually implement any code changes just yet. Let's first come up with a really solid game plan. For context, it is a third-person shooter. I'm just thinking about how to mention the junk assets because that's like a big part of this game. But yeah, how do we set in a junkyard with a lot of junk assets, which are really just 2D images which have some billboarding towards the player. The cool thing here is there's not a lot of 3D. In fact, well, yeah, the only things that are 3D are the players and the NPCs and the bullets. And then I guess obviously the mesh. But the fact that we don't have a bunch of different assets is going to make it easier, I think, to do the multiplayer. Okay. Just tag junk in there. And then I'll just say, please explore the code base to better understand it before you put together the proposal. All right, we'll send that off. Hey AI Lab, how you doing? Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I've been pretty pleasantly surprised at how much progress I've made in a couple of days. So, like, I've never built a game before, and the fact that I was able to get it to this point in like 2 days, I was pretty happy with. Now, of course, this doesn't use 3D, right? It's in 3JS, it's in the browser. It's, you know, I'm not building some Unreal Engine or Unity game here. But it's definitely interesting. And I think the other thing with building apps versus games is that when you're building apps, it also really depends on how complex it is. Like if you're trying to build a landing page, then you're going to be able to put that together in like one prompt because there's like 100 examples. But with games, it's obviously going to be a lot more unique. But if you can get it more similar to stuff that already exists, then it's going to be easier to prompt your way to a successful game or a successful app. But if you're building something really unique, then that's when it becomes really difficult, almost like regardless of what specifically you're building. Nice. Hey Nuke, how you doing? All right. Okay, so we got Cursor coming up with a game plan for us. Okay, here we go. It's read through a ton of code. We're trying to build multiplayer. This is going to be pretty crazy. You can't use serverless functions for a multiplayer game, so I'm definitely going to have to deploy to some kind of, managed server. I'm going to probably try DigitalOcean. I've heard some good things, but if anyone in the chat knows of, has good experience with hosting platforms for long-lived servers, definitely let me know. I might check it out. All right, so looking through the plan here, got network architecture, client server, that makes sense. Yep, WebSockets. Create a state to synchronize the game state between clients. I wonder how deep the state needs to be, and it's not supposed to be a pun. I mean, like, do we need to represent the entire game in the state or just like changes? Hey, quick apply. Welcome to the stream. I am using Three.js. That's what I got going here. So this is Three.js. The biggest thing that I discovered that was totally new to me was using height maps to actually generate this landscape. I probably spent like an hour trying to get it working before I realized what height maps were. And then it took me like 5 minutes. All right, so looking through the plan for the multiplayer, let me just let me send a quick message real quick, and then we'll read through the plan. One sec. All right, cool. So all right. So looking at this, this is our plan. Network architecture. Oh, cool, Nuke. That's awesome. What are you building? I'd love to hear about it. But looking at this, okay, we got WebSockets, state synchronization. We'll figure out what's exactly included in the state. And yeah, well, the main thing that I'm building is using AI in the product itself. So, that should be pretty good. By the way, just if you guys do have Twitch, I found that the stream latency is like a lot lower on Twitch, so I can respond much more in real time. Like on YouTube, it looks like it's like 20-30 seconds before I see your message. So I do have this casting to X and Twitch as well, so you can check me out there, Volo Builds. But anyway, obviously feel free to stay on YouTube if that's what you use. Yeah, anyway, the main project I'm working on, bigger picture, is definitely using AI like in the heart of it. It's called Elderrune, and it's this like note-taking app that is a cross between Obsidian and Cursor. So you're going to be able to ask the AI to do stuff, and then it's going to apply it to a bunch of your notes. But the thing I'm trying to make really unique about it is making it like look and feel like Diablo 2. Haha. Hey, Nuke. Nice. Now it should be, it should be more up to date. Yeah, exactly. Like I can see your messages right away. So yeah, anyway, the main thing I'm working on is Elderrune. That's AI powered note taking. It's going to look like Diablo 2 though. It's going to be sick. It's going to have like spells Yeah, no, AI Lab, that totally makes sense. I actually haven't really even used Twitch personally. I was just like, if I'm going to stream, I might as well stream on here. And then I realized, like, damn, this is so much faster. Like, the latency is so much lower. So, um, yeah, I'm super excited about Elderune. But right now, there's just this challenge to Vibe Jam to build games using AI. So I was like, you know what? I think I could build something cool. So I want to build some Doom AI game. I don't know. I saw a clip of something that looked like old school Doom. Um, or maybe you're talking about. I know somebody like recreated Doom through like a diffusion model or something. So that was kind of interesting. I don't totally get the procedurally like. I don't get the idea of generating all of the frames with AI on the fly because I'm like, you can't have any consistent game rules if you do that. How do you sync state between multiple players if you're doing that? That becomes really difficult. So I'm like, I feel like what I'm doing here makes a lot more sense for game development. Is like, yeah, you use AI to write the game, and like I'm able to build it a lot faster than I would if I was trying to code it all from scratch. Yeah. The pictures in real time. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, it's super trippy, like the way that it's supposed to work, but then I just feel like I don't see how it scales to something that's more than a cool video. Like, how do you actually make a real game out of that? It's almost like a hallucinatory experience more than a game. Um, but it's still pretty cool tech. All right, I'm gonna try to focus here on the multiplayer setup for Junkwars. Let me let me just check one more thing. Okay. All right, cool. So, yeah, keep going with the thing here. All right, we are going to create player management, add unique IDs for each player, create new class for remote players with network positions, rotation, interpolation. Yeah, that makes sense. Input handling. Game state sync. Yeah, I think we really need to hone in on what the game state is going to be. And then we will run through the various changes, but I think we need to start with what the game state is going to be that's going to be shared. Let's focus on the game state and figure out what exactly is going to get sent over the WebSocket and how we're going to load it for the distinct players. Actually, I'm going to switch to 3.7. I don't think we really need thinking here, and it's going to be cheaper to use 3.7. Okay, player state and position. Did we omit this? Like, if anybody does game dev in the chat, definitely give me some tips here because I've never done this before. So I don't even know what kind of state is typical to send over and how frequent it is and what the diffs should look like and everything. So I'm going to be learning a lot as I develop this multiplayer. Yeah, the junk never gets changed. For starting the game as a whole, I think I just described my game. It should be in the I streamed on X. The first stream was 2 days ago. You can check it out, like how I started the game. For today, I'm just coming up with a plan right now because this is such a huge feature. So I'm just going to figure out the plan and then start building it out. Because I know I could ask Sonnet 3.7 to like go build this for me and it will write like 3,000 lines of code, but then I know that an hour later I'm just going to scrap it all, which is exactly what happened when I first started the game. So I just ended up going back to like 300 lines of code that were working much better with Sonnet 3.5. So yeah, I'm just using 3.7 to do some planning here, and then we'll implement things a little more step by step. Okay, so the junk objects is sort of static. Like as soon as the level loads, all of the junk is in one place. The server probably needs to know about the initial map. Yeah, let's ask it about that. So right now, all of the stuff is going to be actually loaded on a static map with all of the junk loaded just once, and then it should only be cast to each of the players on their initial entry to the game, because the junk isn't going to actually change. Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly what you got to do. Because if you try to get the AI to like build the whole thing for you right off the bat, you're just gonna waste a bunch of time. Okay, so I think I'm thinking about the minimum viable server that we could implement and perhaps still keep the game single player, so to speak, before we add multiplayer, so that we could implement the back and forth between the server and a single client. What do you suggest? What voice command app I use? Yeah, I've heard Super Whisper is pretty good. I haven't tried it. I'm just using the native dictation here. It's just Windows plus H or the function key twice. Yeah, no, it's definitely a different way of working. You know, and you watch this stuff and you're like, "Oh my god, he just threw away like 500 lines of code." Like, what the hell? But that's okay because it took me like 5 minutes to write that 500 lines of code, you know? It lowers the stakes so you can experiment like a lot more. And that's what I really enjoy about coding with AI. Like it feels kind of crazy to throw away code and just shunt stuff back and forth, but you end up going faster, like for sure. Okay. All right, so let's see. Phase 1. Yeah, absolutely right about static nature of the junk object. They don't need frequent synchronization. That's funny. Let's design minimal viable server that handles just one client before expanding to multiplayer. Simple WebSocket server. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're gonna create Hey Ballistic or GD Ballistic. How you doing? All right, so we're gonna build a WebSocket server, and we're gonna build a game state manager. Let's see if we can do some of this initial implementation. Let's I'm gonna switch to Claude Sonnet 3.5 because I just find it does a better job of actually building things. And we're gonna, like, right now everything is in one folder. I wonder where we should actually even put this. Let me just ask. Okay, let's start thinking about a specific server. And Game Maker Studio? No, I haven't heard of it. I'm completely new to game dev. Like, this is literally my first game. And I'm doing it with AI because I know because I know coding and I know how to code with AI. That's what I talk about on my YouTube channel, but I've never done game dev, and I'm doing this as part of the week-long Vibe Jam challenge. So that would be a fun way to apply some of my skills, but also learn something new. Yeah, you should check out my YouTube channel. I have like a lot of tutorials and stuff on how to do that. So pretty useful stuff there. All right, let's start thinking about a specific server that we can build that will be a minimal viable server for game state management. I'm wondering where we should put this because this whole folder right now just like assumes this is all UI centric. I definitely want to keep everything in one repo though. I'll just ask it what it thinks I should do. How do you think we should handle it from a folder structure perspective? Because this whole repo right now assumes just a front end that we are building into the dist folder, but we're obviously going to need to keep the server separate. Should I move all this stuff into a front end folder of some kind, or should we just keep the server as a new folder in here? It's kind of a dumb question. I guess I kind of know the answer, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, that's you got to do this. Damn. Okay. Well, that's fine. I'm just worried that it might have to like re-index all of the files, but it might be okay. All right. Let's stop it there. We'll just look over this plan. Yeah, Windsurf is definitely good. I haven't used it in a while though. I had a good time with it. Then I switched back to Cursor, and then they just kept upgrading the agents, so I've just stayed on Cursor, and it's something I've been familiar with for like the past 6 months. And I was just like, well, you know, I don't want to pay 2 subscriptions. So, but I know they've been creating some good new features, so I should check it out again at some point. All right, let's this whole shared thing, that never works. You just have to put the files, copies of them. All right, let's go ahead and do this. We'll create a UI. This is just the folders that I always have. I'll create a UI folder, and then we'll create a server folder. And I'm going to put basically everything except the server folder. Whoops. No, what? Okay, here. I'll put all of this stuff in the UI. Gonna move all of the SRC into the UI. Deno wants to make refactoring changes. I don't think there's any refactoring changes. Show preview. I guess that's fine. There's really nothing there. 3.7. I don't know. I've had more success with 3.5 to be honest. 3.7 loves to write a ton of code, but I just end up undoing a bunch of the code that it writes. I mean, I've seen some people use some prompts to kind of hone it in a little bit more, but I've had issues with that. All right, we'll move assets into the UI. All right, sure. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna need to, I'm gonna delete the dist folder. I'm gonna delete the node modules. We're just gonna reinstall that stuff in the UI. And then I'm also gonna have to update my Cloudflare deployment. I'll just kind of note that in my to-do. Update Cloudflare deployment. New UI dist folder structure. Yeah, exactly. And public, we'll move that into here. Okay. Let me just flip to this one. I'm going to kill this version. Okay, we're going to be pretty much working in dev B over here. Oh no, I never synced some changes in here or something. Whatever, I'll leave that alone. Everything is going to be a total mess. I'm going to probably like rebase the repository to whatever happens in this branch. Okay. Cool. So we got the, yeah, we'll do the Cloudflare deployment. Everything's in the UI folder. Now I'm going to CD into the UI. We're going to do npm install. It's going to make sure we get all those node modules in here. We don't really need to do the, we don't need to build right now because we got actually CI/CD. Hey Gazillionaire, how you doing? I'm 3 days into the project. This is my third day. So yeah, I'm aiming for a week. I'm hoping to be done with this after about so I'm like halfway. But I'm really hoping that the multiplayer just works, so to speak, but I have no idea because I've never built a game before. So all right. So we got the UI, we got the server. We're going to just make sure this still works. Deno run dev. Well, check it out. This is what I got so far. I mean, I know this is not like a complete game, right? But I mean, dude, for like working on this for 2 days so far, like this is pretty solid. Let me see. I fixed the aiming mechanic last night, so that's pretty cool. You can also check this out on junkwars.net. I have the latest like version of it there, but right now it's just single player, so you're just fighting off some NPCs that are out there. Speaking of which, where the hell are they? Everything is very disguised in this game. Oh my god, I saw something firing at me. Where are they shooting me from? Over there. There, it's that fridge. Where'd he go? There. Got him. All right. So anyway, yeah, this is what the game looks like after 2 days. So, making some good progress. AI definitely makes it a lot easier. Thank you. The world is tiny. You got edges that are like right there. You can I mean, it's supposed to be like a death match, so it's like you pop in, and when we have multiplayer, it's going to be players running all over the place, and we're going to have a scoreboard and stuff, and it's just going to be like a running total. And you're going to be able to sneak around, right? You can transform into a different object, and then get rid of movement. Yeah, no, that's true. I think it just lags a little bit. right now, like you die and then you move just a little further. And all of that is gonna like change when we got the multiplayer stuff working. All right, so oh right, yeah. Well, the game works. Okay, so good. We moved everything into the UI folder. The game works. Yeah, yeah. I think I have it. It's just lagging for some reason. But anyway, I'll focus on that a little later. Let's get the minimum server going here. I'll just tell it, okay, I have reconfigured the project, so now I have a server folder. Can you please go ahead and create the necessary files yeah, in the server folder. We'll use Node.js. Actually, no, we're going to use Deno. Node.js is great, and you know, both of these frameworks are just running JavaScript on the server side. I like Deno because it has TypeScript, and I actually like TypeScript better because it actually helps the AI figure out what it needs to do more quickly. Because with just plain JavaScript, it's a little bit harder to follow the path of, you know, what the code is doing and where things are happening. But with TypeScript, it's a little bit better. Sweet. All right, we got some code starting up here. All right, so for the multiplayer to do, I'm actually going to create a server architecture, and I'll just write some to-dos in here. What do I need to do? Manage state. Connect to client. And what state do we actually need? We need the, yeah, this player state. I kind of refined this list, so let me take a look further down. It's in the full player state. Position only updates. Okay. Okay. It's done some stuff for us. Connect to client, manage state. We got bullets. We got players, junk, map, ammo. Okay, let's take a look at here. Okay, we got some compile errors. CD server and Deno task dev. Okay, we got some errors. We're just gonna paste this back in. All right, it's updating. I'm going to be a little bit single-threaded on this today because we're like the multiplayer is such a big change. I would usually be working on 2 features at the same time, but I kind of have to wait to get through this. Then I can merge all of that. Then I'll be able to add features pretty easily. So, okay. So you know what? While I'm waiting for this stuff, I'm going to keep generating more junk because we've had the same junk objects in here and it's pretty diverse set right now, but I'm going to create some more. Let me see. Man, junk prompt ideas. Here we go. These are my mid-journey prompts. Let's ask Claude. Please create the prompts for the next 10 most important. Oh, actually, you know what? I was asking. This is about ammo. Going back to the actual junk that is going to be in the junkyard, can you please create the prompts for the next 20 items? If you guys got any ideas for specific items you'd like to see in the game, definitely let me know. I'd be happy to generate some images. The way I'm doing this is I'm generating everything with Midjourney. This is my skybox, by the way. I was trying to do a logo, but I actually ended up with a better logo on Gemini. But yeah, this is what my prompts look like. So you know what? I actually really like this car as well. Let's download this one. These drawers, actually, these aren't in the game. Why aren't these in the game? I thought I already made one of those. The shopping cart has like too many holes. It's going to be hard to manage. We got the drawers. We got a refrigerator. We got that engine. Junkyard dog. That would be great. Yeah. What would it do? Ooh, a wrecked golf cart? That sounds sick. It would bite. What would it? It would bite the players. Oh god. Yeah, maybe if you're standing in one spot too long, like it comes along and it like starts sniffing you. It could tip people off, like if you're trying to hide. It's actually pretty funny. Yeah, school desk. Oh god. I wouldn't want to be shooting dogs. That would not fit the game. Newspaper vending machine. But I guess they could be like hellhounds or something like evil. In that case, it's perfectly okay. But it's really going to be more of a multiplayer anyway. Okay, let's see how Claude is doing over here. Let's run let me copy that command. Is there all? Okay. Ooh, okay, we got a WebSocket server. Sick. All right, game state. We're absolutely gonna have to shorten these characters. Like it's gonna have to be PRJ, you know, because we're gonna waste like half the bandwidth on property names, unless there's some good like encoding for this sort of thing. If you guys know of any kind of algorithm or protocol to communicate changes like this quickly, let me know. Wait, what is in mod? Okay. Okay, the server is now running. Actually, you know what? We've been having this conversation with Claude for a little bit here. So I'm going to open up a new chat, actually. And it's not going to... You know what? I'm going to use a summary of this chat to start a new one. And we're going to add it as context over here. Okay, and I'll just say... we just created a new Deno server to act as a backend for our game, which is going to be being turned for our game because we are planning to make it multiplayer. And currently we have implemented the super basic server, but we don't have it hooked up in any way to our client. To get started, we just want to make it so that when a player joins, while it's still single player, we actually get the state from the server rather than keeping it entirely in the client. Can you please review the code that we currently have and then update the client-side logic to integrate with the server? We can use a new server com file for this. And then I'll just tag a few of the relevant files. Game. Yeah, here, I'll just tag game and then what's our like main? Yeah, it's mod, I guess. Mod is like our main server. And I'll just say, let me know if you have any questions or clarifying thoughts. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a multiplayer. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for sure. All right, well, that's going. I'm going to take a look at our mid-journey results. This one's kind of good. I'm going to vary that one. The other ones don't have a white enough background. Maybe this one. I'll vary it a little bit. I don't really like these. I'm going to re-roll this one. That's a pretty funny looking cart. I like this one. Let's download this one. It kind of like makes no sense. Like why would it be rusted here? I think isn't this supposed to be a window? But that's okay. It fits the aesthetic of the game perfectly. Photocopier is just not rusted at all. We need it to be more zoomed out. This one is kind of good. An old safe. That sounds good. A pool table. We already got an industrial fan. Pinball machine. Oh, here. Partial drum set. I wonder if it's going to be rusted. That would be pretty funny. Oh, we got to have a bathtub. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's great. And I've really had a good time getting Claude to generate the prompts for Midjourney. So it's like a pretty cool workflow. Let's see. Got to pick one of these pool tables. Which pool table do you guys like better? The red one or the blue one? This is perfection right here. All right. Let's see. Maybe, okay, we got something up here. Let's see what it's done. The server is set up to handle WebSocket connections. Okay, we created a server com file. Now we are connecting to it in the game.js. And how are we handling okay. Handle initial game state, initialize the game state based on server data. Yeah, we need to actually implement that. Next steps would be, okay, we still update the game state locally for immediate feedback. That makes sense. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Implement state. Okay, yeah, I'm going to ask it to go ahead and fill out these placeholder functions. Please go ahead and implement the various placeholder functions that we currently have so that we are actually using the state from the server. Okay, and while it's doing that, I'm going to take the new pictures that we just downloaded and we're going to do some Photoshop. Let me... Boom, just remove background, export. I'm going to throw it into, which folder? We're working in Junkwars B, so I'm going to throw it into Junkwars B. Tub. Cart. Car 2. Oh, I think those are the only ones that we downloaded so far. All right. Close these. Okay. Let me... Yes, there's our rusted drum set. Hell yeah. This one looks pretty good. And you know what? I think I'm going to go with the red pool table. And let's check in on cursor here. Okay. Implement placeholder functions. Please go ahead and implement the various. Yeah. Now we need to make sure a player class has the necessary methods. Let's check if we need to add any methods to the player class. Okay. Player already has the methods we need, set ammo, all this stuff. I need to make sure not to rush through this part too much because it's kind of tempting to, you know, totally vibe code the hell out of this, but this is exactly the sort of thing where it really helps to understand software engineering and take it a little bit slower and more methodically, because debugging this will be a nightmare if I have no idea how it works. So I probably need to just review some of the code that it generated here so that I understand what's going on. Okay. In game.js, implemented handle initial state. Set up player with server provided state. That's good. Initialize bullets from server state. We're going to initialize with none, so I don't know if that's really necessary. I'll just keep that in mind. Prepare for other players. Although maybe it's initializing the bullet states for the other players, although I don't know why you would need to know that, so think about that. Implemented handle game state. Bullets. Yeah, this is a crazy thing to try to do in like a day, but I'm holding out hope. Ammo, bullet existence and position. Let's try to run this and we'll just see how it fails or how it doesn't fail. So if I go back over here, I'm going to refresh. I'm going to open up the console. Well, I'm moving around. It's just counting down. It's counting down from scratch. I immediately I go back. Okay, ammo is 10. This error is actually not related, I don't think. Received initial state. Players. There should just be one player. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna copy paste this. Okay, so right now the server does seem to at least work enough to send some data to the client. We get this initial state. However, you should know that the players always start with 0 ammo. And it currently looks like we're starting with 10 ammo for some reason. Although we might change that in the future, I'm not totally sure. I'll think about it. We want to start with 0 ammo though for the moment, to make it match what we had previously. Okay, and then I'm going to add also currently when I spawn it counts down from 5 and then immediately starts counting down from 5 again, so I'm never really out of the starting invincibility mode. You think 10 is an enhancement? Yeah, maybe. Um, yeah, I mean, I originally imagined it being like just starting with nothing, but like the problem that I was hoping to avoid is somebody just spawning in and then being invisible, going up to somebody else, and then as soon as they're active, they can just shoot them. Um, I wanted to avoid that, but maybe if I just have them be transparent, so it's obvious that, well, it's not going to be obvious because they're going to be so lost in the junkyard. But if there's some way that I can make it clear that you can't shoot them, they can't shoot you yet, that might work. And then I could have some starting initial ammo. And I guess for testing, it might be better. So you know what? Screw it. I'll roll with the AI punches. Yeah. You know what? That's cool. Let's start with some ammo. Let's start with 10 ammo. So I'll just remove that. We'll go with this. We don't see, oh, we do see new client connected. That's pretty cool. So we're seeing the client connect to the server. That's good. And then we're seeing some initial state set by the server. So we're making some progress. All right, let's try this out. I'll refresh. Big dumpster. Nope. Still the same thing. Okay. Let's copy paste that. And I'll just describe the issue that I'm seeing. Oh, damn, I guess it's still working on it. I assumed that it was like done when it got to this point. Okay. It's doing some other stuff. Okay, back to Photoshop. What is this? Clawfoot tub. We already did that. Oh, I don't think I downloaded those additional assets. Did I? No, I thought I did. Where's my drum? My drum set. Broken pool table. Drum set. Oh yeah. No, that's a big problem. You got to really be mindful of that. That's why I like to review the code rather than just completely vibing, because then you at least know what is going on. Okay, now it's actually done making changes. Refresh. Nope, it's just, but if I just click, no, I'm just getting stuck in that initial state. As soon as I pop out of it, it almost feels like the client is never really sending updates to the server, because when I pick up ammo, I see it momentarily update the ammo count, but it immediately reverts back to 10, which was my initial state set by the server. Can you please double check that we are setting it, or I guess that we're sending it back, the UI to the server. Update. All right, we'll have it do that. I am going to take a super quick break. I've realized that when I'm streaming for like multiple hours, it's better to just take a 5-minute break instead of getting like completely worn out. So I will be right back. All right. Oh boy, what did I leave here? Unknown message type, update ammo. Oh god, let me kill that server. Server is spamming this message. All right. Well, I'm back. Thank you to all those who have stayed. Anyways, hey AI Lab. Yeah, thanks for briefly summarize what you are responding to in chats, especially if on different platforms. Yeah, I'm totally new to the streaming stuff, so appreciate tips like that. Definitely helpful. I'm having fun with it though. This is my 3rd day ever streaming, but it's pretty fun. So I might keep doing this, or especially like while I build out this game. I think it'll be fun to see it go like all the way, you know. And then I'll make like a summary video for the main channel on YouTube. All right. Okay, so right now it's working, but that's because it's not even using the server. All right, now it's updated. Oh, wait. Well, I guess I can keep that. Well, yeah, let me just ask it to update my Deno. Update this so I can Deno run dev and have it run with all perms. It's kind of fun to be working on a project that does not have any serious like security issues. Like I don't have any API keys in here, you know, I'm not storing anybody's sensitive data, so even if I completely screw this up, like it shouldn't be too bad. I guess there's a cross-site scripting stuff. That's probably the worst case, but I'll double check that before I deploy this. But it's nice to just not work with a bunch of sensitive data for once. Oh, I guess that's already pretty much there. Deno run dev. Okay. Refresh. Okay, getting tons of updates. Whoa, look at that. Like we got some stuff going on. Like we're actually in the game. The logs are freaking out. But you know what? We're starting to make some progress. We're getting some state from the server. How do I even capture this? Man, I should do some kind of sampling. Let me... Okay, so now the communication does seem to be working, at least to some degree, but it's super hard to tell what is going on because the logs are just freaking out and spamming nonstop. Let's implement something like we only log when there's a diff. I'm gonna kill the server. This is exciting. I'm eventually planning to add like weapons to the game. So it'll be awesome having like a rocket launcher and then you can just like explode a whole area of junk. It'd be amazing. You know, I wonder. Hey, Abdul Shakur. Nice to have you in the chat. Um, yeah, no, that the removing features to fix stuff is definitely an issue. But I found using Sonnet 3.5 does help, and focusing your changes on something specific helps. And the most important thing is just reviewing your code. Like if you continuously review what's going on, then it's much less likely to, accidentally remove stuff. But it still does happen. Okay, we got some lint errors in here. Let's just fix that. Now we got even more errors. Okay, but it's going to fix them automatically. All right, there we go. Type error is fixed. Let's start this back up. Refresh. New client connected. Okay, that's good. All right, we're in the game. I'm able to move around and shoot. No way. No way. This is actually working? Yo, that's crazy. Whoa. Okay. That bullet just got stuck there. But hey, this is actually working. This is pretty sick. Okay. Let's for anybody joining, I'm trying to add multiplayer to this game right now. So it's been single player. You can check it out on junkwars.net, but I'm adding multiplayer capabilities now. And so I'm building the server. And right now it looks like we just got some basic state syncing between the server and the client. I don't know, where am I getting shot from? Maybe I can't see them. That might be part of the no, there he is. Okay, we got some issues. We're going to copy paste this, but we're going to tell Cursor that at least it's working for the most part. The changes seem to be working for the most part, which is fantastic. But when I shoot a bullet, I do see these in the logs. Also, I see this in the server log. So perhaps the state sync isn't happening 100% correctly. Players only shoot one bullet at a time, so ammo should only change by one. Let's not create a restriction for this, but rather just use this information to troubleshoot and identify any potential bugs. Okay, there we go. Hey, sorry, just saw your message. Let's see. Let me just answer some of the stuff in the chat. How do you build a landing page with Cursor? Only used Xcode and Cursor. I mean, you just ask it for a landing page. It should be able to do that pretty well. I have a video on that. It's like build your first website in 17 minutes or something like that. So check it out. It's AI Coding 101. It's that should help you get started for sure. And that whole series will help you figure out how to build stuff like that. Do I usually look at the logs and code before I prompt? Yeah, I do. In some cases, I don't. I can't really tell you a strict rule that I follow, but I generally try to at least understand roughly what's going on. Okay, it just added this minimum between ammo updates. I don't think that's a good idea. Unless, well, let's see what happens. I start out, I can't shoot. Why are there other green dots? That's what I don't understand. Okay. Okay, right now if I shoot too fast, it like resets my ammo. And I also see those other green dots. Yeah, no, I am not a complete vibe coder, it's true. I try to actually understand the code. And I think that's a big difference between, vibe coding and what I think of as AI coding. Like, you don't have to just completely ignore coding principles. You can try to understand what's going on, and that's going to help you build better, more secure applications, and it'll help you actually code faster. Because if you know what you're doing, then you can prompt the AI in the right direction rather than just like hoping for the best. So I find that it really helps to actually have some fundamental understanding of programming, because yeah, again, it'll just make you faster and build software with higher quality. All right, let's see what's going on. We're still seeing the ammo. Okay, so again, this is working for the most part, but when I shoot really fast, and now it's like rendering the bullets multiple times. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm not sure that the ammo update delay is the right way to handle this, because a player could shoot very fast. It's just that they will not shoot multiple bullets at the same time. I suppose it is possible that one update could show them decreasing the ammo quickly. But I just wanted to clarify about the actual logic. I don't know, that's kind of awkward prompt. Just wanted to verify. Okay. We should... Okay, so right now things seem to work well as long as I am shooting slowly. But if I shoot quickly, I see the ammo in my UI arbitrarily go up as if I hadn't shot those shots yet. Can you investigate the synchronization logic? Add any strategic logs that would help you debug this. I'll just say troubleshoot this. All right. But it's kind of crazy that we do at least have it synchronizing to some degree. It's going to be making some code changes. I want to add those other items. Maybe we can take a little detour to add the other items to our assets so we have a more diverse junkyard here. It's already pretty chaotic. It really does look like a junkyard, which I like. Kind of slow, though. That's an issue. We're going to have to definitely do some performance tuning on this as we get further into it. But I figured we'd do the multiplayer first. That way, when we tune it, we're tuning it in the right place. Thank you. Yeah, it's super interesting, the state of taking classes and courses and stuff, like things have changed so quickly and so drastically. I pretty much just recommend people to take, you know, online, like just watch stuff online, how to code, and then just get some hands-on practice. You know, you're gonna end up building stuff more quickly than trying to sign up for a degree or something like that. Yeah, I also see these multiple shots. So we need to make sure that the state is properly synced in that situation as well. Everything kind of turns a little bit slowly. So let me... Sending ammo update. Okay, so finished making that. Let me refresh this. Keep an eye on the logs. Oh, when I respawn, it's 0 ammo. Lol. Okay. Wonder if these are those me or are they the NPCs? I'm not sure. I think that was from earlier. Okay, let me go ahead. Oh, what's all this? Yeah, we're probably going to want to refactor some of this at some point. But you know what? I'm just going to accept all. This was a super solid chat where we established the base of the server. And I'm going to start a new chat just to refresh the context. I'm going to tag the previous chat in here so that it has some more context. And then I'm going to ask it to troubleshoot the ammo issue. I'm going to just talk about the multiple, like seeing multiple bullets at the same time for now. We have just recently implemented a server to track state in this game, and there is a bug right now where I am seeing multiple bullets when I take just one shot. It appears almost as if the bullets are coming up from behind me. The duplicate ones, that is. Can you figure out where the state sync might be malfunctioning? Check out mod, game, server com, yeah, and then bullets, entities. I need to review these files to just see what is in them. All right, let's check out servercom. What do we got in here? We got server communication class. You got the WebSocket that's established. Got a client ID. So this is all front end code that's connecting to that. Pending ammo updates, tracking. Okay. It sets up the WebSocket. And then on open, it makes a log, and then for every message, it's going to parse it. So it's in JSON right now, which we might want to refactor because that's not going to be the most efficient way, I don't think. But it might be okay. It's probably fine to start. Okay, and we got a message type. There's going to be initial state, and then there's game state. Okay. I wonder if we really need two different ones. Yeah, I suppose we do, because the initial state is going to have all of the placed junk items. Have I ever asked AI to run through the code and give me some feedback? Yeah, no, that definitely helps. I actually, when I was starting this multiplayer thing, that's sort of what I did. I was like, or it was right before I asked it, looking across all of this code, like, are there any performance improvements you would suggest? And it gave me like 10 different ideas. And then I figured, okay, well, let me do the multiplayer first, and then I'll do the performance improvements. All right, so it's making some changes. All right, let's refresh in the game. Okay. No, I still see the multiple green shots. Are they like making it all the way through the map or something weird? No, look at that. It like fires multiple shots. Pending updates 33. Okay, I will just copy paste this into here. Seeing this in the logs, still seeing multiple green bullets firing when I take a shot, although the ammo count looks correct. What is pending updates and why does it keep growing? Oh boy, I just dumped a bunch of useless logs on it, but that's all right. Mesh standard material, basic material. Why does that? Material warning because we're trying to use emissive and emissive intensity properties on a mesh. I don't even know what emissive intensity does. I guess we'll have to see. I wonder how the enemies are currently handled. I wonder if that's entirely client side or if we have that server side. Ultimately, they shouldn't really be a part of the game because it's going to be a multiplayer deathmatch, but I might have them in case there's not enough players online to just kind of fill in the gaps. But in that case, we still need the server to track them. So I'll have to modify that. What are you guys all working on? Any exciting apps, games? Oh, cool. Yeah, I've used vector databases in a couple of projects that I've worked on. I used Pinecone and found it to be pretty good. It's really good for semantic search. Yo, look at this. Oh, no. Oh, what the? Whoa. I fired 2 shots, and then there's like 1,000 that come up behind. Okay, with the latest code changes, it looks like I am firing 1 shot, and at first everything looks fine, but then all of a sudden I will see like literally 100 green bullets flying from behind me. And then there's a ton of distinct update IDs associated with each one. I wonder if maybe I should just, if there's some example that I can find that uses this kind of server syncing between shots and players. Seems pretty specific though. Well, particularly because I'm using Deno on the server. I know that Peter Level's his Fly game that kind of started some of this vibe coding is you know, using that, but you know, his server code isn't going to be visible. Boss hunting research assistant that will automate the process. Also working on a YouTube transcript app that would take a video and turn it into an expanded detailed guide. Hey, that's a pretty cool idea. Yeah. You know, I think there's a lot of interesting use cases with content repurposing. Like if you can make a video and then just throw it into some kind of Blender application. I don't mean Blender like 3D, you know. If it could just spit out like, here's a bunch of tweets, here's a bunch of shorts, here's a detailed guide, you know, I think that'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool thing. Okay. We shot one shot, but now yeah, that's a cool idea. Okay, I might have to dig into the actual code here. Oh, come on. Yeah. Yeah, scraping in general is difficult because yeah, it's always a gray area. Let's just ask this to map the data flow for us. Can you please map out the data flow so that it is clear to me what happens between me clicking to shoot and actually rendering the bullets on the screen? And I guess calculate, well, ammo and how the server sync is managed. I didn't want literal code, but I guess I could actually take a look at this. Let's see, key points. Client creates bullets immediately for responsiveness. Okay. Server validates and creates official bullets. Client reconciles its state with server state every tick. Bullets are matched using client bullet ID to prevent duplicates. That's a good idea. Recent local bullets are kept briefly, even if not on the server yet. Okay. Ammo updates follow a similar pattern. The main issue you're seeing multiple bullets might be because the server is creating multiple bullets for a single shot. Client isn't properly removing all. Okay, let's please add comprehensive logs for troubleshooting to take a closer look into each of those potential problems. Keep in mind that since we are updating so frequently, we can't possibly do the logging at every tick because it will be impossible for me to see what is actually going on. Yeah, these all sound like very reasonable root causes. Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of web scraping before, but it's a constant game of like racing against people trying to block you, and it becomes difficult. You sort of got to look for official APIs and stuff. I think, yeah, doing the transcript retrieval client side does make sense. Like if you have an extension or something. But yeah, it's tough. You know, and again, like if you make it, if your target customer is somebody who wants to repurpose their own content, then it becomes a little easier because they could just upload the video directly to your app, and then they can get a bunch of, you know, detailed guides and extra posts and stuff like that. If you're trying to repurpose somebody else's content, you know, that's where it becomes more difficult, and you get into a more like gray area. So okay, we got some logs. I just see that I fired a shot. All right, let me paste all this back in, and then I'll tell it that I'm basically not seeing anything on the server. AI Lab says working on smaller projects, vector databases, Redis messaging. Yeah, those, you got a bunch of really cool tech in there. It's definitely good to learn a lot of that stuff. It's where the future is. Oh no, am I not restarting the server? Oh no, am I not restarting the server on change? That would be terrible. Then I will have made like 4 fixes to this, and I just haven't been able to see them at all. Yeah, because look, it modified this, but I don't see that I don't think it restarted it. Oh boy. I think I need to run dev -w or something like that. make sure Deno restarts server on file changes. Damn, that sucks. But okay, now let me Deno run dev. Okay. I wonder how much stuff, like, boom, one shot. Okay, we're still seeing. Okay, let's kill the server. I'll copy paste all of these logs, and I'll tell Cursor that it seems that I wasn't actually restarting the server after the changes were applied. With the latest code, these are the logs I see in the client and the server. And what I'm doing here is what I like to call the beaver method, where I'm asking the AI to write a bunch of logs so that I can feed it back into the AI, and then it can figure it out on its own. I found it to be a really effective troubleshooting strategy. Yesterday, I'm just reading the comments. Yesterday, I created an AI dev project template for a quick set of prototypes. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, like the more setup you can eliminate, the faster you can iterate on all of the stuff. That rhymes, and I like it. Hugging Face Spaces. I haven't used it. What is it for? What does it do? It's interesting. I see the bullet continuing to get replayed. Hugging Face Spaces allows you to plug into a bunch of tools as well as other agents. Oh, that's pretty cool. So is it like an MCP alternative, or is it like something else? is the server? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna, oh yeah, there's no clear in here. It's fine. Let me restart this. Wait. I'll run this. I'll restart this. We'll connect once and we'll shoot one bullet and then we'll disconnect. Okay. Here we go. That's awesome, AI Lab. That's lots of useful stuff for sure. I wonder if I should do this as a new chat. Let me do that. I'll tell it. I am troubleshooting the AI. Not AI. I'm like reading the chat at the same time as the writing prompts. Okay, I'm troubleshooting the shooting mechanic and syncing it to the server. Currently, I am seeing the same bullet visualized multiple times as if the shot is replaying itself in the UI. Currently firing one bullet. I see this in the logs. Can you please figure out why we are duplicating or sending multiple updates for one thing? The bullet should travel its path. The bullet should follow the path, but currently we are replaying the path multiple times. The client is sending ammo updates every 300 milliseconds, even if ammo hasn't changed. Yeah, that definitely, we need to get rid of that. All right, it's making some changes. We got some additional processed images. I just wonder, where do we, I think it's in junk. I just want to add those other entities. But I guess we'll check out this code first and then. WebSocket connection. Oh, I never started the server. Okay, let me copy this again. There's the server logs. Client logs. I'll tag some additional context. Maybe that'll help it out. That's cool. Oh man, I keep forgetting to add the other junk assets. It's just distracting, you know. I get to test it, and then I immediately want to go back and send another prompt. This is why I like to actually have two of these at the same time usually. But right now, since we're doing so much refactoring to split the UI and the server, I have to kind of stick with one branch. That's cool. Restream just told me that we got 100 messages in this chat. Thank you all for staying tuned. It's been pretty fun streaming the progress on this game. All right. Let's try this update out. Shoot once. What the? The slow-mo bullet. What? That's so trippy. Let me restart the server just so I can get a clean round of logs in here. All right, start the server, start the client. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, and then we'll kill this. That's cool, AI Labs. Yeah, Windsurf is definitely good. I definitely use Claude all the time. And Cursor is my main go-to, but sometimes I'll use like Gemini as well. I found the image generation is like decent on there, although I am paying for Midjourney as well right now. Definitely paying like over $100 for AI tools. It's crazy. I'm gonna tell it. Now I'm seeing the bullet fly in what almost appears to be slow motion. And I'm not sure why that's happening. Any ideas on what might be wrong in the state sync? And could you add logs to verify? Yeah, it's good to do. Yeah, no, the bullet speed is correct. It's just that this isn't handling it properly. I think there might be an issue with the way that we are processing the updates in the queue, because I am seeing the bullet move forward and then backwards, but it always stays relatively close to the location where it was fired. Hey TR, welcome to the stream. This is Cursor. It's a AI powered code editor. It's kind of like VS Code, but with AI built in, and it can modify a bunch of files all at the same time. It's pretty cool. I am building this in JavaScript, and I'm using 3JS as the game engine. No. The bullet speed was fine as it was. I might have to take some kind of different approach here in a second, because I don't think that change is going to do anything. I think I'm going to have to break the vibe code and look at the actual code. Yeah, I don't think there's any way for me to get past this other than by actually looking at the code. There's way too many updates. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back in like 5 minutes, and then I'll continue trying to build this out. All right. Thank you. All right. One sec. Catching up on the chat. Hey, Tushar, what are you doing here? All right, awesome. Well, it's good to have you. Let's see. We're building. That's right. Let's. We're building this game. It's Junkwars. Over here, looks like this right now. If you're just starting to follow, you can. Man, why? Okay, what is going on here? Yeah, it's like the bullet speed is super slow or something. You can play the current version of the game on junkwars.net. You can check it out there. But it's right now it's single player, and I'm in the process of trying to make it multiplayer. All right, let me go ahead. Yeah, I've been trying to troubleshoot this for a little while, so I might have to take a different approach. Let me take a look at the code. I wonder where this multiplication is and what that's about. We're no longer multiplying the speed during updates. What was the speed before? I'm gonna check my diffs. Actually, I'm gonna go over to GitHub and check it out there, because I reorganized all the folders and everything, so. Let's see. It wasn't in assets, it was. Yeah, speed was 3.5. Multiply scalar. Are we doing the velocity thing? Where is the velocity calculator right now? What happens if I set it to like 500? Do I have 3.5 somewhere else? Or is the speed only calculated server side or client side? I'm not sure. Yeah, what? It's like we see the bullet fly super fast, and then we see these super slow motion versions of it. It's as if the server is trying to render every single location of that bullet. But that's not going to work. I wonder if I should go back or if I should keep this. Like, I'm thinking about just resetting it back a couple of commits or checkpoints or whatever, and then just sort of starting this part over. But I could also try to actually read this and let me go way back. I'm gonna go back to this commit because at least the bullets look like they were flying normally as I had them previously. But then, yeah, I'd prefer to troubleshoot this version of it where they're flying at my expected rate. Okay, we'll start a new chat. And what we're trying to understand is how these updates are generated. Please explain how the updates for the bullet positioning is generated and relayed from the server. I'm going to tag the server and the server com, and hopefully with this bullet file, that'll give us enough info. Let's take a look at the server and just try to understand what our game state currently consists of. That's ammo. Okay, here's the... Okay, we must get a message that says server shoot. Let's make sure that that is only sent once. There's the server shoot. There's the bullet ID, player ID. We got the positions and the direction vectors. We got a timestamp. Now it's creating the bullet. So we're going to go in here. It's going to create the bullet. It's going to generate a random ID and create this new bullet state that is going to have. Oh, why is it multiplying it? I don't know. Why would it do that? Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Because this seems to just be reformatting the object that comes into this into like one single state. And then it is going to game state bullet set for this ID. It's going to set it. So we got a key value map here of these bullets. Okay, so it's created the bullet. Okay, server shoot, server bullet, and this bullet is the full state. And then ammo update, and then remove old bullets. Server loop, server state. I don't know if that stuff is related. But the ammo update, I wonder why what do we need ammo updates for? Either way, I don't know why it's doing this multiply by 2. We'll look into that. But right now, we create the bullet and then we break. Okay, so we're just updating the state object. When we see that the player shoots, we're adding a bullet to our map in the state object. And where is our state? Game state. Okay, we're at game state. Add player. Where's the game state object created? Game state object is up here. Game state manager. Let's take a look at that. In game state, we have Players bullets in last update time. There's methods for adding, removing players. Update player input. I wonder what that is for. Update player state. Movement is still handled client side. Okay. Yeah, here's our create bullet thing. Okay, so I see. So the main server is going to accept the WebSocket messages. And then we have the separate game state file, which contains our entire game state in a particular moment. Okay. So over time, the bullet needs to be updating. And that's what we currently have an issue with. So ideally, the server should probably be the one to calculate the location of the bullet and broadcast it to the UI, or tell the UI where it's located. So that's what we need to figure out, is where the bullet updates are happening. And I think we should update. We have this update method. So let's I think if we create a specific method that is for updating bullet positioning, that might be the best way to do this. All right. Because where are we calling this? Okay, for every delta, if the delta is greater than or equal to tick interval. I see. Okay, so we're getting a bunch of updates. We're getting a bunch of updates to our server, and we are synchronizing it to a frequency, essentially, of that is like our official deterministic set of states. So maybe, what is our tick interval? Let's see. So the 1,000 divided by tick rate. I see. Okay. So our game plays at 60 frames per second, essentially. And these frames are the state instances. Okay. So all updates are synchronized to a specific tick rather than happening immediately, which is going to help to make sure that when we have multiple clients, multiple players, everything is synchronized. There's one definitive state for every frame, or every tick, I guess. Okay. So again, what I'm doing right now is not vibe coding. I am very much diving into the details of the code, because this is the way that I'm going to be able to build this much faster than to just blindly keep asking AI to fix it. You can get stuck forever in that sort of loop. But doing what I'm doing now does take some understanding of the code and being able to kind of move around. And yeah, I know I'm getting into the weeds, but that's okay, because that's what's going to help us properly prompt the AI to get out of this mess. All right, so game state. We're calling this update. If there's an update that comes in, okay, let's see. It must be in game state. Where's the game loop? It's not in here. It's in mod. Okay. Now minus last update. Okay. So we're getting the game state before bullets, after bullets. Is it going to game state? It's gonna, okay, here's where it's calling the game state update. So it's forcing the update to run essentially every game tick. And it's, well, oh man. Shouldn't this be like recursive? Isn't this just going to blow up the server state? Like, if we set a timeout every 1 millisecond, then it's going to run this whole function every millisecond. And if it runs into a bunch of updates, like we'd rather skip ticks. No, like if it runs into a really heavy one, I have to think about that. Yeah, exactly, Tushar. Much better to understand the state of the code. You can make better prompts. Okay, I'm gonna start a new chat. I'm gonna start asking some questions about this code. I see that we have a set timeout with an interval of 1 millisecond. Is there potential for this to be a problem where we get super backed up on the updates? Is there some way that we should be queuing the updates and calling this function recursively so that it runs as quickly as possible, but not forced to run every millisecond? What are the pros and cons of that approach? Okay, so we'll ask about that. Then I had another question. Oh yeah, it was in bullet, or it was in game state. But what happens when we run gamestate.update? So this is what we're running every tick. We're going through, taking a look at the time. Does now resolve properly to milliseconds? I think so. I know there's like HR time, which is maybe more accurate. Let me ask that as well. Is date.now. Okay. Bullets removed. Okay, for each bullet in the game state, it's going to move it by the velocity in that direction multiplied by the delta time. Is that accurate? Well, there's some gravity involved, which is not being applied here. Let's ask about that. Bullets on the client. Gravity. I see in our update loop. Does this account for the gravity properly? Okay. If the bullets are more than 3 seconds, remove the bullet. But we should also remove the bullet if it actually collides with something. And we probably don't need to keep the bullets for that long if they're flying super far, like if they hit the edge of the map. We currently only remove the bullet if it has been 3 seconds or more. But we also need to remove the bullet if it has collided with anything, such as the terrain or a target or the edge of the map. Can you confirm that this is accurate? Well, that this is not currently being handled. Okay, so we move the bullet. We're basically just mutating the bullet object and setting its position based on this delta time. And then we're repositioning the bullet in that direction, multiplying it by delta time. I wonder if this is... Are there potential issues with improperly synchronizing the bullets based on delta time, given how bullets are depicted in the UI? Client and bullets. I'm wondering if the positioning could potentially be off, especially in regards to applying the velocity properly. And then I'll just give it bigger context. I am currently troubleshooting an issue with this brand new server and the way that bullets states are being synchronized to it. I have a list of questions as I am trying to understand the code that I'm looking at. And then I'll tag some additional context. We already tagged bullets. We tagged the server. I'll tag game state. And then server com and game and entities. I need to see what the heck is in entities, so I better understand that file. Let me look at it now. Because we got a target. We got some hitboxes, ammo pickups. I guess this just ties all of the objects onto the actual game world. All right, let's review what it says. Yeah, using set timeout could potentially cause issues. Current approach might lead to queuing up multiple updates if the processing time exceeds 1 millisecond, which, like, yeah, that's a very short amount of time. Better approach would be to use request animation frame and track the time delta. What is request animation frame? Yeah, this is server side though. Yeah, tagging. I think they have it in Windsurf as well. AI Labs asks about tagging, and what it is like when I'm typing this prompt, I can do @ and then type the name of a file, and what it's going to do is add the context of that file to my prompt, so that when it runs, it has more context. It knows what I'm talking about. I could do this in a way where the agent just looks around the code for me, but I find it's more accurate. It provides better results if you actually tag the specific files. And I'm pretty sure you can do the same in Windsurf. For more. Performance.now. Okay. Let me clarify for it here. The mod.ts, well, mod.ts, our deno server, no request. But perhaps use this. Okay, date.now reliability. Yeah, we should use performance.now. Well, this is a deno server. Is there a similar thing to HR time? Or should we use performance.now? What is the trade-off? Bullet gravity. Looking at the server-side bullet update code, gravity is not being properly accounted for. The client applies gravity, but the server doesn't, which could lead to desynchronization. This is the stuff that, like, if you are fully vibe coding, you would never know. Like, you would never notice this, and chances are the AI would never actually correct this issue. So, you know, you would shoot and you would miss, and you wouldn't know why. And well, I don't know. Maybe you could add some logs and have it point you in the right direction. But just reading through it made it a lot easier for me to figure out where, you know, how that was incorrect. All right, so we'll fix the bullet gravity. There's no collision detection or with terrain or map boundaries. This should be added. I'll start. Let's create a plan with. Let's create a set of instructions to add gravity. Let's create a set of instructions to properly handle collisions and move the calculation server side. Bullet synchronization issues. There are potential client-side bullet movements, and bullet.js uses a fixed speed and applies gravity independently, while the server uses velocity in delta time. This can lead to position discrepancies. Server should be the source of truth for bullet physics. Totally agree. Client should interpolate between received positions rather than running its own physics. Yes. The update rate should be consistent. Let's create a plan to move the bullet physics calculation server side. Please note any additional changes that you believe we should make so that we have a comprehensive plan for updating the bullet handling and moving more of it server side, and write it all into a bullet refactor.md file. We will use this file as a set of guidelines and instructions on how to modify the code. Don't make the updates yourself just yet. Focus on the plan. I'll just switch it to agent so it can go create that file for me. Okay, let's review our plan. Current issues. We got issues with queuing. Okay, okay, it's listing out different problems for us. Server-side game loop improvements. Implement fixed time step game loop. It's writing some code examples in here. Yeah, but isn't it still doing the set timeout? Is this accurate? Does it actually fix the queuing issue and if things take too long? Server-side bullet physics. Actually, we do want gravity. Well, let's work without gravity for the moment, and then we'll add gravity back in if we need to. Yeah, move the physics like it says no oh, okay, it is gonna apply the gravity server side. Okay, that's good. That's good. Client running its own physics. Networking protocol, potential bandwidth with frequent updates, no handling of packet loss. I think that's kind of okay. This is looking a little better. That's true. Implementation order. Okay, we got a plan. Bullet update. Keep track of client. Reconcile with server when received. Handle discrepancies smoothly. Yeah, you know what? This sounds good. I'll just ask this one little question, and we'll see if that's a problem or not. Queue micro task. That's an interesting thing. I don't know what that is. Yeah, okay. Queue micro task. What is that? It's more appropriate for this use case. AI lab psyching yourself up for an 8 to 10 hour vibe session. Oh yeah, no, it gets deep. It's pretty exciting. But don't get super caught up because yeah, I mean sometimes you got to take a step back and just review the code like what I've been doing for the last like 30 minutes. Because ultimately you'll end up going faster like if you actually at least understand somewhat yeah, what you're doing. Okay. Okay, performance.now has microsecond precision. Awesome. Available in Deno. Perfect. now we got this queue micro task. I think that's going to be better. I don't know what it is, but it sounds like it'll be better. Let me look that up. Micro task is a short function which is executed after created it exits. That's interesting. We'll give it a try. This seems like a decent plan. All right, we're gonna. If I was crazy, I would ask Claude 3.7 Sonnet to implement all of this, and then I would have 5,000 lines of code. But I'm gonna walk through it step by step with 3.5. Please review the changes that we need to make in the bullet refactor file and begin by implementing part 1. Oh, I should have probably tagged some of those other files in here, but it's okay. Okay. I'm gonna kill these 2 servers. Just make my computer cool down a little bit. Okay, let's start the servers back up. Just keep making sure that they all work as I am making progress. Sec. Oops. Move this. Hold on. There. Moving that over there. And I'm going to refresh this. And make sure that we're still syncing up to the server. Cool. Server FPS, we gotta. Alright, we're shooting a bunch of bullets and they're all getting duplicated. That's totally fine. Alright, so I think we have successfully completed step 1 of this. Let's take a look at what we got. Delta time. Okay, so it's basically done nothing with this, which is fine because I think we're primarily fixing our game loop. Just catching up on the comment. Yeah, vibe coding, if done right, is not the chill vibe as it is marketed. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's you definitely go down a rabbit hole. You can end up with a pretty messy product. So it works really well for the stuff like this game. But if you're trying to do it on a production grade app, you're really much better off by carefully looking at every change that it's making and understanding the code. Like, you should still use AI to do the coding, but it's you should also understand what the code is doing, because that's ultimately what runs. It's not what you intended when you made the prompt. It's the actual code. So you need to know what it's doing. Yeah, exactly. It's like it totally depends on what you're doing. And I'm gonna make a video. I'll make a quick video about this, about my commentary on vibe coding, because I think it's really fun, but it can be dangerous if you use it in the wrong context and you don't know what the code's actually doing. Okay, every second we log some FPS. I wonder, did we ever see game loop taking longer? No. Pass fixed time step. Yeah, there we go. I prefer that much better. Now we are setting the difference in time to the update. But isn't this a constant? This is literally passing in the number 1 to this method. Hey, FXM? I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, but PHXM, you're totally welcome on the video about AI agents. I'm glad it was helpful. Let's see, we pass. That is always just 1. This feels... Okay, so that's the first issue that I see. Delta time, tick interval. Process fixed. Sleep for remaining time in the frame. Is that how this is supposed to work? I see we... Fix them. Yeah, that's probably the right way to do it. Fix them. Correct way to... Are we going to properly synchronize events that are sent to us by the clients, which may come at various times in between the game loop? Oh no, I have actually reached my cap. I'm gonna have to get cursor. Hold on, I'm just gonna go update my thing to make it so that I don't have slow requests. You're right. This is not correct. Tick interval is... Yeah, but tick interval is literally set to 1 in the arc constants. I'm pretty sure. Oh, it's divided by the tick rate. Okay, it's not just 1,000. Yeah, that's true. It's divided by the tick rate. Physics times step. Sure, that's fine. That makes more sense. We still don't need to pass it into game step though. All right. Did it go back to using set timeout? It did. Consider the plan we outlined in bullet refactor. The idea was to use Q micro task. Which approach is better? I'm just worried that if we have set timeout that we're going to queue tasks like crazy, and well, it's not even that we're going to queue tasks to overwhelm the server, potentially trying to process a bunch of tasks all at the same time if previous updates are not completed yet. Hey, Stock and Kolev, great question. Why don't I use 3.7? I find that 3.7 kind of over-engineers solutions, and it just writes so much code. Like on the first one of these streams, I had 3.7 generate the whole like initial game for me, and it wrote 3,000 lines of code, which I then spent like an hour troubleshooting, and the game worked. The game was less functional at the end of that hour than when I just used 3.5. And that is like the definition of using Sonnet 3.7 for me. Like it just loves to write a ton of code, and then I have to go back and fix it or try to get it to write less code. I've just found 3.5 vibes with me a lot better, so to speak. It just does a lot more of what I want. I have a video on that if you want to check it out. I made some structured commentary on 3.7. All right. Physics. But we still don't need it to be a parameter in the function call. We can just import it directly in the game state file. Yep. Okay, I'm just going to trust this. This is the way to do it with Q microtask. That's funny. Yeah, 3.7 loves to code. Writes too much code. I just want to say thank you to everybody watching. It's really fun to be able to have this back and forth and, you know, have some engagement with everybody. Feel free to ask questions. Like if you ever wanted to get my input on anything, like this is the perfect opportunity to do so. Because I'm just sitting here, you know, waiting in between some of these requests. I'm happy to answer questions and stuff. How many lines of code is the game? Oh, I don't know. Probably a few thousand. I'm guessing. It's kind of hard for me to gauge that now that I think about it. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Like, yeah, 20 JavaScript files. I'll just open up a couple of random ones. This one's 250, 100, 50, 300. I would guess they're like average 200 lines. We got 20 files, probably about 4,000 lines of code right now. Ballpark. Oh, I guess we got a server now. This has like, I mean, also, it's probably under 5,000, but it's growing. All right, we got the physics thing in place. Let's just check to see if this is still working, and then I'm going to move on to step 2 of this implementation. There we go, got our server FPS. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the client. Okay, cool. Well, the game is working. So that's all I really wanted right now. And now I can go ahead and figure out the other issues with the server. Okay. So I'll just accept these at this point. Let's continue with step 2 of the refactor. Actually, I'll just start a new chat here. Make it a little bit easier. Can we ask the chat to see how many lines of code? I mean, maybe. I just think that's not the sort of thing that it would be able to quickly retrieve for me, because, you know, I guess it would need to write a script to then read through it. And the other thing is, you know, we got a node modules folder that's going to be like, I don't know, a million lines of code or something stupid, you know. Although I guess we're not using that many modules, so maybe like 50K or something. Yeah, exactly. There'll be like a ton of credits to use for that sort of thing. I probably write a script to like read through all of my relevant files and then output that. But yeah, like AI Lab said, 2,000 or 3,000 lines, you'll start running into issues unless you break things down like this. Like if you have, you know, files with just a couple hundred lines, you should be good as long as you're tagging them. But although I'll have to say cursor agents do a pretty decent job of also finding the relevant files. So that's definitely a plus. But you definitely want to split your files up. That way you can direct it into one place. If you got one file that's like 3,000 lines, you're screwed. You want to refactor that. You want to break that down. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to go back. Let's include the previous chat summary in here. And I'm going to actually go there. Yeah, okay. Fixum asks, totally unrelated question if you don't mind. Can you provide on starters on where to look to implement computer-controlled AI vehicles in a racing game? I have no idea. I would probably ask Cursor to just write the code for that and then just see what it does and see how decent they are. That's probably what I would do. I mean, the NPCs, the enemies I have in Junkwars right now are all just, they were just coded by Cursor. And they work decently well. So, yeah, I'll just start with that. Okay. Continue with this. Continue with step 2 of the refactor. Actor, specifically the server, bullet physics, bullets, game, entities, game state. Cool. Yeah, we're disconnected from the server, so the game is doing basically just client side only right now. A refresh. Oh, I'm not getting initial state from server. That's kind of interesting to note. Okay. All right, let's check out these changes. Game state. We got some bullet constants. Create bullet. Okay. Did we got any gravity in here? That might be step 3. I'm not sure. Oh, here it is. Bullets for each. Subtract gravity. I guess it's like linear gravity. That's fine. Y minus 10. I have no idea what the Y's and Z's are. But we can't just do this below ground thing. We need to have an understanding of the mesh of the world. I see that this initial implementation simply removes bullets that are falling below -10 on the y-axis, but we need a more sophisticated collision mechanism with the terrain, which is based on the height map inside of the UI. Height map used in the client side terrain file. Please think through how we can calculate the collisions with the actual terrain. This is where I think we could really take advantage of Three.js, but we really need the server to be the authority on the bullets. This could potentially be done better by leveraging all of the 3JS physics and logic, but we somehow need the server to be the authority on the bullet positioning. If there's no clear way to do this, can you propose a solution? What is the advised 3JS approach to syncing server-side state in this sort of use case? I'm going to actually tag search the web for any discussions on this topic. This is something you can do that's pretty cool in Cursor. I think you can do this in Windsurf as well. You can tag @web, and it's going to make it actually go look online for this stuff. Okay, it's proposing a terrain collision handling in game state. Really need a context agent. What do you mean by that? Let's keep the terrain state established by the server as well, if we can. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing right now, it's very incremental, very in the weeds, and that's okay. You know, if you're starting to code and you're running into stuff like this where you're sitting there for hours in the weeds, it's perfectly normal. It's perfectly okay. Just keep going. You know, like if you're making incremental progress, if you're learning stuff along the way, that's all you really need. Like eventually you'll get through it, and even if you don't, you're going to pick up a lot of skills along the way. So just keep going. Thank you. Shared assets never work. I'll let it finish its thought there and then ask it to move the asset. Do I think it's okay to use ChatGPT Cursor for stuff when you're still learning? Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is the best idea to do that because these are the tools of the future. Like, this is what the future of coding looks like. I mean, I'm a very experienced software engineer. You see how I'm coding here. Like, yes, I'm going into the code and I'm reading, but I'm using it to the max. But I guess, to be fair, your question is like, if you're new, should you do this stuff? And I think the answer is still yes, because you got to get practice with this workflow, which requires a different sort of skill set than you used to have to know. Like, you used to have to memorize the syntax. You used to have to look everything up on Google. There's really no reason to do that anymore. So you're better off asking the AI to generate the code. But the thing you should do as a beginner is try to make sure you understand what that code is doing. So don't just blindly accept all and keep rolling forward. Do look at the code. Do try to still learn how it all functions, but you don't need to memorize all the different properties. You can just rely on it to do a lot of the work for you. And it's good to get experience with that workflow. All right, I'm just going to review this code. Okay, constants, that should match the client. Got some intersection calculation here. I wonder if this is the best way to do it or not, but it's okay. Bullet physics. Where's the intersection, that collision? Okay. Okay. Shared assets never work for me. Let's keep an actual copy of height map. Yeah, I'm just going to create a new folder, assets. And we're going to copy the height map into there. There we go. Yeah, AI lab. That's a good idea. Is ask AI and compare how it's gonna like look. You can have AI evaluate your prompts and evaluate the code that you've written and write some code and evaluate its own code. There's a million ways to do it, but it's definitely good to get familiar with AI in parallel with learning how to code. All right, yeah. I mean, today's stream ended up being super in the weeds coding, and that's totally fine. Some days you'll build up a bunch of cool features, explosions, and sound effects, and assets, and everything. And other days you're just going to be in the weeds, building out and figuring out the physics engine. So, and that's perfectly fine. AI lab coding for 25 years, man. That's awesome. Congrats. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly happy embracing this AI stuff to code as well. Like building a game like this in a few days is like a dream come true. Like I've been wanting to do some game development, since I was like a teenager, and here I am, and now it's actually reasonable to do in a reasonable amount of time. So it's pretty fun. Okay. Let's try to start up the server. Okay, got some errors. Uncaught. Here, I'll just copy paste that in. Yeah, what is it trying to? It's trying to do build. Cannot find canvas.node. Hey, Alistair, welcome to the stream. Um, yeah, the reason I'm using 3.5 is that I find 3.7 just tends to write way too much code and kind of over-engineer things, and I found 3.5 to be a lot more steerable and doing what I want. With 3.7, I had to undo like an hour worth of coding because it just got tangled in all the code that it wrote. I have a video on it on my channel. You can check it out. All right, let's try to run this. Oh, cool. All right, we got the height map loaded on the server side. Let's see if we can connect to the server. What if I shoot the floor? No way. Is this actually like working now? Let's look at the, if I take a shot. Oh, I have no ammo because I just respawned. Let me sick. Unless this is all probably just client side code. This is I bet it's not. Is it really calculating my ammo? Is it calculating my bullet position? I don't know, but I'm getting excited. It says send shoot doesn't exist. So let's, okay, this loads correctly. When I shoot on the UI, I see the ammo is getting properly updated, so that's pretty cool. But I'm not sure if it's actually sending the shot. Let's see. Make sure we got the server running. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, there we go. That's more like the logic we were seeing before, where it's all super glitchy with the shots. So now it's actually sending it to the server, which is a start. We got all these pending updates. What happens when I shoot the ground? Actually, let me try to shoot through. Okay, well that works. There's like a hill around here. Let me see if I can shoot through it or if it'll actually get stopped. Okay, it looks like it's still shooting it through the hill. Okay, we got all these. Let me, I'll restart the server, I'll restart the client. And then we're just gonna see what it looks like when I shoot one shot. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy paste all these logs. And we'll see if it can troubleshoot it for us. The server is sending bullet status updates almost every millisecond, despite having a tick rate of 60. The update loop isn't perfectly respecting the tick rate. That's right. The client is sending ammo updates extremely frequently. Okay. No dropped frames. I'll probably keep going for another like 15 minutes or so and then wrap up. I was hoping to obviously get the multiplayer working, but I knew this was a huge feature. So making this much progress with the server, I think is a big win. And then maybe tonight I'll be able to get something more complete. And I'll be posting some updates on X, so you can follow me on there. And I'll probably do another stream tomorrow. I'll have to make sure it works with my timing, but it's been kind of fun streaming these updates, so, and I appreciate all y'all's company. Okay, let's try this new server. It's pretty much all the same. Server update bullet status. Man, this again, just one shot is like 1,000 lines of logs. Even with rate limiting, we're still seeing bullet state updates every 30 milliseconds, much faster than our intended 20 hertz. Is that true? That's not much faster, but okay. Because I think 20 hertz is like 50 milliseconds, right? Yeah. Ammo updates accumulating. Man, what is up with this ammo updates? Maybe. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Then I'll run. Refresh. I'll just shoot one bullet. It's logging, like it's so many updates. It's wild. Okay. Now, I think there's still more stuff that we had in our refactoring plan. Client-side bullet updates. Yeah. So I think we just need to keep implementing this potentially. I think I'm inadvertently trying to get it to do step 3, but I just need to directly ask it to do step 3. Server is sending bullet updates every 17 to 20 milliseconds, but then it's thinking that server is sending updates at the physics tick rate? I don't think so, because this is 20 milliseconds. Oh, these are frequent hertz. I see. Oh, you know what? It probably needs to do like JSON parse, JSON stringify kind of thing. It's probably not literally equal or something like that. I don't know. I might have to revert some of this code. Okay, I'll try this one more time and then I will ask it to implement the step 3. I'll like revert and then I'll ask it to implement step 3. Well, our server FPS just shot up like crazy. I wonder why is it so much better? Hey AI Lab, just catching up on the server on the chat message. I would start with a basic game engine that does what you want, then add the details, have 3 or 4 objects that interact, like bullet, player, enemy, and floor. Dude, that's so true. That's so true. Um that's probably the better way to do this. I might after I finish up the stream, I might take a step back and actually take that approach. I've had success before getting something like Lovable to create a prototype for me, giving it instructions like that, and then just have it build out something basic. And then I take that code and I paste it in here, and then I ask it to implement that like in the context of my game. And I've seen that work. So I might try something similar. But yeah, I'll ask it to see if there's anything obvious. I'll give it a try following the steps that we created in the plan, and then if none of that resolves the issue, then I'll just take a step back and get a basic client server with the shooting mechanic working that's outside of the context of my game, and then I'll bring it in. So yeah, thank you so much for calling that out. Great suggestion. Right. No, that totally makes sense. It gave me some suggestions here. I'm thinking about it. I think, yeah, the more I think about it, the more building something from scratch and then trying to tie it onto this makes sense to me. So I think I'm going to give that a try. Again, AI Lab, thank you for the suggestion. It's a really good tip. I think I'm actually going to call it a day here and wrap up the stream. That's really cool. So yeah, another successful day streaming. This has been a lot of fun. We're totally in the weeds with the server side here today. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll be able to work through some more exciting features and get the game to be multiplayer so that you guys can actually try it out. Well, you can try it out right now. It's a single player simple version on junkwars.net. But yeah, really appreciate y'all. Thanks for stopping by. And I'll probably see you tomorrow, or well, if you have some time to join the stream for a little bit. Anyway, thanks all.